Talk about the breaking news that we've been following since 5 o'clock tonight. We know that there is some fallout at City Hall after 2 Jacksonville City Council members are indicted, and we have learned tonight, not too long ago, that the governor has actually suspended those City Council members. So this comes after a grand jury says that there's enough evidence to charge Katrina Brown and Reggie Brown with dozens of charges, including conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud.
And it all stems from a multi-million-dollar loan obtained by Katrina Brown's family for a barbecue sauce plant. Tonight we have live team coverage. Let's begin with Eric Alvarez.
Well, staffers cleaned out the office of Reginald Brown this morning, but right now he and Katrina Brown still appear on the City Council's website despite that suspension. Now, earlier today, there was a party atmosphere here in Hemming Park in the shadow of City Hall. But between songs, the talk of the town was federal charges against the 2 City Council members who we just learned are suspended from service by the governor. Katrina Brown of District 8 and Reggie Brown of District 10 face dozens of counts involving wire fraud, mail fraud, and money laundering, which Corinna Costa says isn't what the voters had in mind when they elected them.
And I think that's wrong. I think that's very wrong. And I don't know what this world is coming to. I don't know what society is coming to. But we need to stop all this nonsense.
Now, the attorneys for Reginald Brown and Katrina Brown say they are innocent and even cooperated with investigators months before the indictment. Right now, they are both released on their own recognizance. Now, this is not the first time the governor has suspended an elected official from service. Our own Ann Schindler joins us with more on that.
That's right, Eric. Well, the governor has exercised. We just got a statement a couple of minutes ago from Mayor Lenny Curry of Jacksonville, and he said the governor has exercised his authority. We will work with his office on plans to engage the community in identifying next steps. Now, while the governor's decision to remove these 2 officials is a big deal for Jacksonville, it isn't entirely new for this particular governor. Over time, the governor in his 2 terms has suspended about 40 officials over his time in office, all but 5 of them for criminal conduct or accusations of criminal conduct. Just a few weeks ago, he suspended the mayor of Boca Raton over corruption charges. And last year, he removed the Jefferson County Clerk of Court for allegedly having sex in the courthouse. That clerk of court is currently suing to have get his job back. But tellingly, the governor did not remove scandal-plagued public defender in Jacksonville, Matt Shirk, even though a grand jury specifically asked the governor to remove him if Shirk refused to resign. Now, the last time a Jacksonville City Council member was removed from office was 2010, when then Governor Charlie Crist removed Jacksonville City Councilman John Meserve. Live at City Hall in downtown Jacksonville, Ann Schindler, First Coast News, on your side.
And thank you so much. We know this can be a complicated story, so we have more details and the entire indictment on our website at firstcoastnews.com.